a lot. I hope you have your pen or write down all the insights you would be learning from today's session. Our topic for today's session is bootstrapping to business expansion, funding your venture on a budget. So a lot of persons are always saying, oh, I want to expand my business. I need funding, I need capital. Most African entrepreneurs, the first thing you ask them when they need in their business, everybody, literally almost everybody says funding. So in essence, that is what this program is about. So, but before we go in, I would like to give you a rundown on today's agenda. We'll have introductions, a very quick poll, and then we get to give you a deep dive about AFCI. I understand a couple of us on the call today would know about AFC, but we have new persons that would love to know about AFC. And then we'll go to our speaker session and then the Q&A session. So do well to jot down your questions, if you need clarity on any point that was raised, or if you also want to contribute to the topic, feel free to, that would be an opportunity where you could be able to do that. And then we'd have our group photograph, virtual group photograph. That's like my best part of every session. And then would introduce you to what the next edition and what you should expect. And then our membership drive, and would close the day with a closing remark. Okay, so while I see a number of persons already introducing themselves on the call. Kindly introduce yourself, your name, your business name, what products do you have, what services do you offer, your location. You can do well to share your state and your country. So on that note, I will start by introducing myself. My name is Deji Adebusoye, and I work as the communications officer at African Food Changemakers, based here in Abuja, Nigeria. So do well to introduce yourself. I can see a lot of persons introducing themselves already. I can see someone from Katsina. I can see Abeokuta. I'm seeing a lot of Nigerians. Please, other countries, please rep yourself. Finally, I'm seeing a South African, a Ugandan, Nabasa Innocent from Uganda is the executive director, I believe, of Uganda Vegan Society. It's great to have you today with us. And I can see Esther from Zimbabwe, and Toff from Benin. I love the energy, the chat, but I can't even keep up with the introduction. So do well, network. You can never know who you'll be able to meet on a session like this. People with like minds, because this is a community of persons with like mind. They want to grow, they want to expand, want to get better. So introduce yourself, meet new people, share contact, emails, and meet up after this. Next slide, please. And again, drop your best emoji. Like what are your expectations? How excited are you about this session? What is the best emoji that is it? Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you thrilled? Like me, I'm smiling at this side of I can see someone already sending an emoji of money. This is amazing, because I know that, oh, this guy, you're looking forward to watch how you can get more money, what you can learn to get more money. Amazing. I can see someone sending love emojis. Amazing. Love emojis. Thank you so much. Let's keep the introduction going. So we'll be taking a quick poll, and my colleague will push out a poll where you would see the topic, and then you would also be able to share your funding experience and the questions on what are the funding issues you have. What are the funding issues you have? And then the poll here, I'm certain if you can see the poll on your screen, please do type yes, because I can see from my end. Questions here is, how would you rate your current knowledge of agri-business funding options? Funding have you applied for? And you're free to select all that applies. And also the last question is, what is your biggest challenge in accessing agribusiness funding? We'd love to hear your response. Please click on it. It's just a quick poll. Just tap on it. We have about 2 minutes to do that. I would love to get these responses from you, because that would better help us fine tune the forthcoming series would be having. It will help us tailor it to meet your needs. Okay, I can already see responses. We are 108 persons on this call, so I expect to see responses from at least, let me try to be fair, at least 30 30% of persons on the call. I can see 2 persons have answered. Okay, it's now 3. So let's get it to 20. What is your current knowledge of the agribusiness funding options? Do you know the agribusiness funding options available? Most people already know of loans, grants. What else? So we want to know your level of knowledge, and have you applied for grants before? Have you gotten grants before? And what was the form of grant you got? So 10 persons, thank you so much for your responses. We're now at 13. Let's take it up to at least 30, then we can end the poll. Thank you so much for your responses. And then while we are bringing up the responses, I'll be giving a shout out to people themselves. I can see Prosper from Cameroon, and he's a master student of animal production. Great to have you. I can see Abdullahi from Nigeria. I can see Noel from Gabon. Amazing. Finally, I'm seeing somebody from Malawi, Matthew Kuda, founder of Green for Africa. I'm seeing Joy Chamaka, Richard from Uganda, 7-figure capital. That's Ibigoni George. I hope I pronounced that right. I'm seeing Ruth from Abia State. It's amazing to have you on the call. Great. We have 36 persons who have responded. Let's make it get to 50. Would love to know. This would help us better understand what you need and tailor our programs. If you're joining us to respond to the poll, thank you so much to those responded. I can already see persons. I'm seeing Notelli is shared on the chat box that she has applied for funding several times, but it's difficult because she's a small scaled business because of the requirements. So I believe Nutel to do well to stay on this session, and I'm certain you'd be able to get 1 or 2 insights that would help you, and then also join our forthcoming Agrifunding session. So I think the poll to an end. I can see we've gotten about 50% of persons here. So thank you so much if you have responded to this poll. So Nosa, please let's put an end to the poll. Okay. Okay, so I'll be sharing the results from the poll based off of wow, we got 62 responses. And then a couple of persons are sharing their as you can see on your screen, 18% their knowledge is very low, 21% low, moderate is 37, high is 19%, amazing, and we have 5% saying they have a very high knowledge. Most persons have applied for external funding, and most of them were grants, bank loans, and equity investment. And the challenges is lack of information. I can see, lack of information, difficulty in meeting funding requirements, inability to write a strong proposal, high interest rates of unfavorable terms. So thank you so much to everyone who has responded. This would go a long way in helping us structure our forthcoming sessions to ensure it meets your needs. So we'll be moving on to the next. I'll be calling on Ebere Oko. She is the membership coordinator at African Food Changemakers, and she'll be giving an introduction to what the session is about, what African Food Changemakers is, and what the Agrifunding Workshop Series is about, your expectations, where you should stand to gain from each of these sessions, seeing that this is the maiden edition. Hi, Ebere, over to you.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending and coming very early. This is very important, and most of all come very, very early. Now, I want to say a very big welcome to everyone that is attending today's program. And we know that there are a lot of us here who really don't understand what AFC is about. So I'll just do a very short introduction about AFC. African Food Changemakers, AFC for short. So when you keep hearing AFC, you know it means African Food Changemakers. African Food Changemakers, our tagline is Nourishing Africa, Changing Global Narratives. So for us, our drive is to ensure that the world begins to respect Africa as a food hub. I would like to call it that. You have people from, developed countries come into Africa and take advantage of our resources, have food. They take the food, buy the food, go back to their different countries and process the food and sell back to us. Meanwhile, we have people here in Africa that are doing great things, that are producing food, that are farming and processing this food for consumers. But a lot of people don't know them, don't know, when they are not recognized across, change that narrative to the world. The work African agri-food entrepreneurs are doing. We're a non-profit organization committed to helping African entrepreneurs scale resilient and sustainable agri-businesses that feed Africa and the world. You see what I'm talking about? And we do this by providing training. So because we have been able to identify the gaps that are there, if we want to actually go out to the world, we want the world to recognize us and respect us, there are a lot of things we need to do right. We need to correct our processes. We need to correct our policies, right? So that is the gap we've identified, and AFC is working towards reaching that gap. So we do this by providing training as much as possible, a lot of training. We are a knowledge hub. So when you see AFC, you see an announcement for a new training. So we do this by providing training for agripreneurs, share information about funding opportunities, help you get visibility for your business, give you that exposure for your business. You will learn more about this towards the end of today's session. We also foster trade linkage for agripreneurs. So it's not enough to be in your small community and sell the things that you produce. A lot of people need to also buy from you. And so that's what we foster. We try to bring you out and promote you to other, expand your reach for your market. And then finally, and very importantly, provide, a hub for a vibrant community of change makers. So we don't just give you access to all of these things. We keep everybody in the same safe, secure space where you can share knowledge, share ideas, collaborate on projects, and scale together. We have programs that we run, for agripreneurs, right? Beginning with the building resilience against climate and environmental shocks. We all know that climate is the story today. We cannot run away from it. No country can run away from climate discussions. And we've identified this issue and saw the need to build capacity among African agripreneurs, right? Ensuring that they are resilient, they are prepared, they are set, and they foolproof their businesses. They proof their businesses against climate and environmental shocks. So that is the essence of RAISE. And when you attend our RAISE program, you become knowledgeable in the space. You become even needed. I like to say needed because what we do, we are change makers, right? We train change makers, we build change makers. So when you gain this information, take it back to your communities and share this knowledge down within your community. So that's all we raise them to build your business, keep them resilient, keep them safe and ready for climate and environmental shocks. Leading African Women in Food Fellowship, we also acknowledge that we have a lot of women who are doing well in agri-food, but are very hidden somewhere in the background. So the Leading African Women in Food Fellowship, LAF for short, is a program where we amplify the voices of the women in the agri-food sector. Let the world, show them to the world, let them know how they can connect with every other person, in the world, how best they can promote their business, how best they can build their brand, how best they can speak about their businesses and tell their stories. It's not enough to be doing impact. You need to speak about the impact they're doing so that, every other person know and resonate with what do. We have the Scaling Export program that everybody is always excited about. We always want to talk about export. And this particular program is even key for us because we want to change global narrative. We want to have African food to the world. So it's important that we build that knowledge gap amongst agripreneurs here in Africa so that they can prepare their products and make them ready for export operations. And finally, we have a vibrant community of agri-food change makers. You will learn more about our community during the membership drive. So I don't want us to spend so much time here, but these are the pillars of African food change makers. We do this. We are very concerned about business. We want to keep sitting down and reinventing programs that would help you scale business. And that is even why we are here today. The reason why we have an agri-funding workshop was after one of our first Thursday program where we talked about attracting funders, attracting investors to our businesses. How do we prepare our businesses? And we saw that a lot of members, a lot of agripreneurs are struggling with funding. And so we said, okay, let us even create a curriculum for agri funding. You may think, oh, this bank is being too harsh, they don't want to give loans. But is your business even eligible? Is your business ready? Are your books clean enough to access these loans, these opportunities? Or I've met investors now and then, and nobody wants to listen to me. Are you actually telling the right story? Are you actually presenting your business in the right, the right form? What do you really need to know? That is the essence of agri-funding, of this agri-funding workshop. We want to, learn, want to teach you how to access these opportunities, identify these opportunities, and take advantage of them. But first of all, you need to be very key. Bootstrapping for people to give you money. You need to first of all learn even the little that you have. So that is why it is very strategic that we are starting this agri-funding workshop with this topic, strapping. While we are looking forward to getting grants, investments, loans from external sources, how about internally, the funds that we have, personal funds, how do we use it? How can we strategize to ensure that even with the little money that we have? And to take us on this is no other person than Deji Adebusoye. Deji Adebusoye is a partner. She's a partner at Sahel Capital. Over 15 years of experience, Deji has played a pivotal role in driving investments and providing portfolio oversight across various crop value chains. He's joined Sahel Capital in 2016. We know why he is very important for this particular case. He leads the Social Enterprise Fund for Agriculture in Africa, investing in 13 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Are you following me? Do you understand why he is very, very key for this course? Pay attention. He has a diverse background, having worked with Syngenta Crop Protection AG and Procter & Gamble. Deji is a chartered alternative investment analyst and a certified project management professional. He holds a PSc in chemical engineering first class honors from Obafemi Awolowo University and an MBA from ESET Business School. Recently, Deji launched his book, Scaling for Success, Empowering African SMEs, which provides valuable insights and strategies for small and medium-sized enterprises to achieve sustainable and success. We are honored to have you in our midst today, and we cannot wait to benefit from a wealth of experience. We want to tap a lot from I enjoin everybody on this call to have their notebook, pen, and take notes where you don't understand. Note it and ask questions at the right time. If you have anything that would distract you around you, go away from that environment and concentrate 100% so that you take something out of today's class. Thank you very much for listening. Deji, have me.
Thank you very much, Ebere. You sure know how to hype people up very well. Yeah. Yeah. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know where you all are, but it's a pleasure to be here today. Let me know if you can hear me very clearly. Iberi, is my voice very clear? Can you hear me very clearly?
Absolutely, absolutely. I can.
Okay, all right, great. Um, So it's a pleasure to be here. And the topic that I've been given to speak on today is something that I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm sure several people who probably follow me on social media platforms will know that it's something that is very, very dear to my heart. And it's really around the growth and sustainability of SMEs. And the reason is very simple. I think from the work I've done across the investing in several countries and also looking at SMEs in Africa, it's very easy to see that for any economy to take a leapfrog, the role of SMEs, it's extremely critical that SMEs are able to rise up and play their role in every economy, whether even in the developed countries of the world, in the West and even in most parts of the East. What you realize is that SMEs were the ones as they grew and they were able to create jobs, they were able to create products and services at that condensed level where they were able to service, the communities around them, develop the communities just because of the economic capital that was going into the work, coming from the work that they do. So for me, I'm extremely passionate about what exactly can we do to turn the tides around for SMEs in Africa, such that they can actually begin to scale and grow at the level at which they should. But I'm going to bust some bubbles here this afternoon because I was looking at the survey that we did and I realized that most people that are here today, what you want to hear is number one, the highest thing there is understanding funding options. And unfortunately, I probably will not speak to that today. That's not the objective of my talk here today. And I feel a very strong need to first address that big elephant in the room, which is what is always on the mind of most entrepreneurs. And I think Iberi also alluded to it. If you speak to any entrepreneur today, the very first thing they will tell you is that they need is capital. They need funding. Unfortunately, and I said I'm going to bust some bubbles here today, but I think we need to tell ourselves the hard truth. The hard truth is that unfortunately, um, more than 90% of the companies will not receive financing. It's not a curse. I'm not just being brutal. It's just the numbers are saying that. And when I say the numbers are saying that, today, in 2024, in Africa, there was a funding gap of anywhere between 55 to $200 billion for agriculture. The total amount of financing that is available for Africa, and I'm not even talking about just agriculture, is probably even scratching the surface of getting close to $55 billion. So if you don't have the adequate financing for the sector, then why do we think that everybody, or you'll be able to raise the financing that you need? So it's a big problem. I'm not arguing and I'm not disputing the fact that capital is critical, but I think we need to address the elephant in the room that not everyone will receive financing. And the question is, what do you do if you cannot access external financing? First to start, I still want to dwell a bit on, because you might still be debating in your mind, why do I think we cannot raise capital? There are many reasons, both from the supply side, as the investor side, and also from the company side, as the demand side. There are many reasons from both supply and demand sides why companies will not be able to raise financing. Let me start from the supplier side. The reality is that every capital provider, every investor, us as Sahel Capital, we have a fiduciary responsibility to take very good care of the capital that our investors have given us to manage. By the way, the money we are investing is not ours. It was, given to us by some people that believe, look, we believe that you can do good and you can find the right companies to invest in, and therefore, so take this financing and go and look for companies to invest in. So the reality is that because of that responsibility that is being placed on investors, they have to take every care to make sure that the money they are putting out there is going to come back. Let's even look at banks. Let's forget private investors like banks. Where do they get the money that they invest, that they give to companies? It's also from individual deposits. if they continue to give out that money, in any way they deem fit, and those monies do not come back, who is left at jeopardy? It's your friends, your mothers, your fathers, your brothers and sisters that are put in a precarious situation. So you understand why capital providers are extremely diligent and very careful. Of course, you can say that they make mistakes in investment. That's true. But the reality is that there is that responsibility for them to take every care to put our capital to the right use of capital. The other reason, which I alluded to also, is that there's a significant gap between demand and supply. The availability of capital to invest is so small compared to the amount of companies that are looking for investment. As a result, every dollar of investment is looking for the best opportunity to put the capital towards. So, I mean, you are all, most people are entrepreneurs, and you agree with me that you're always looking for the best opportunity to put your efforts towards. The same way capital works. Capital is looking for the best opportunity. And that's why you might say, look, I have the best idea in the world. Why are they not financing me? Unfortunately, they won't, because they are looking for the best opportunity, and the best opportunities always show themselves glaringly. And I'm going to speak to some of the things that will make you be able to distinct yourself, pull yourself out of the crowd. Think of it as a pyramid. The moment you are unlocking certain things in your business and you are actually bootstrapping is the word, you are bootstrapping your way towards certain levels, you are making certain decisions, and you are building. Think of yourself moving up that pyramid. The higher you go on the pyramid, the more it is for somebody who is very far out wide to be able to spot you and say that I see somebody climbing on that pole because I can see his head coming out. But if you are at the bottom of the pole and you are shouting for help, help unfortunately will not come, because the person who is very far off, who is looking at many heads of people, is not able to see you stand out amongst the millions of people that are out there trying to raise financing. The last thing I'll talk about in terms of the reasons why it's difficult to raise capital from an investor perspective is that investors' sustainability is tied to the success of the fund that they manage. And I'm not sure if many of us are aware of that. So Sahel Capital, we've been giving funds to manage to invest in agribusinesses in sub-Saharan Africa. The success, our own sustainability as a company, is tied to two major things. One, our ability to invest the money that's been given to us, and two, our ability to recover that money back and give back to our investors. If any of those two things are shaking, then it's just a question of time. We ourselves will be out of business. So if we go with the incentive of we just want to invest because that's one of the levers, and you continue to put money out, unfortunately, if that money does not come back, you lose on the second leg. But also, if you are not deploying money enough and quickly enough, just because you are too careful, also that also affects you, although in a lesser way, but it also affects your ability to continue to raise capital to invest. So you see that there is every incentive for me as an investor to invest, because if I don't invest that money, my business it might shut down in a couple of months or years. But also, when I invest that money, I want to make sure the money is coming back. So it should begin to change your mindset that capital providers are not just wanting to sit on money. I don't have any incentive to sit on money. If I have every incentive to move that money out, but I also want to make sure that I'm selecting the right partners to people to partner with. Now, to speak on from the SME side, and I'll just run through this very quickly. Why is it that it's very difficult for SMEs to access financing? More from the SME side. Now, number one is that SMEs have minimal control. The reason why I'm saying these things is because you also begin to look at your business from a fresh perspective, from the perspective of, okay, if people want to provide me with capital, what are they looking out for? SMEs have very minimal controls. It's all down to what the promoter or the founder or you as an entrepreneur or the CEO wants or does, or what you do not want that happens in the business. Investors are very weird. They are very wary of that. Where there's no control, there's nothing to hold you accountable to. They are very concerned about that. This is something that does not obtain in very big companies. Very big companies have controls, they have systems, they have a board, proper governance that is making sure that the company is doing well by all their stakeholders, including their financiers. But unfortunately, SMEs do not have that. Also, the macro situation can be very unfavorable. The bigger companies have the metal to withstand those macro conditions. But unfortunately, smaller companies don't. And so when an investor is looking at an SME, they are asking themselves, if there are macro conditions, how will this company be able to mitigate those risks and be able to stand through? Remember that they also want to recover their money. And if they are worried that the macro conditions will affect you, then they will not give you financing. The other thing is that, and this is very interesting, SMEs have very dominant owners. And I'm sure you think about yourself and the way you hold sway in your company. Your word is law. Your word is govern is the rule. What do you say? You can come into the office today and say that I want to fire two people, and you fire them. You see what I mean? With very dominant owners that once their capital goes into the company, they probably have little or no say as to how capital performs. That's a source of worry to many companies. There's also the problem of limited track record. Because you're an SME, you've not demonstrated long enough, you understand what it means to collect capital and return capital. See, the interesting thing I've seen over my years of investing is that many SMEs want to borrow money, but they really don't understand what it means to repay. Many SMEs, entrepreneurs, the way they think about capital is it's money, it's fungible. I get the money, use it for whatever I want to use it for, and I'll pay your money. It's not about when I will pay it. So if I'm telling you as an investor that look, I want the money to be paid back every last day of the month, in your own mind, what you are hearing is, I want you to pay back my money. You didn't hear that part of I want you to pay back at the end of every month. It might have no implication on you, but for me as a lender, if you don't pay back the amount you're supposed to pay at the end of every month, I am making a provision on my book and I'm recording a loss. So as a result of that, I am wary to give an SME money because they need to know how to return money. Now it's a catch-22 situation because for you to show that you can return money, you need to raise money. But for you to raise money, you need to show that you can return money. So you see the contradiction there. But you will see some of the thoughts that we'll share very quickly, as we go on, just to make sure that you can walk around that hurdle to make sure that you can raise capital and you can also make the capital available back to the owners. Now, these are just some of the things I wanted to share in terms of that. Now, let's get into the main conversation for today: bootstrapping your business. There are a couple of things that you need to think about as an entrepreneur when you're thinking, okay, look, it's clear I might not receive money, or to raise capital, this is probably not the right time. I need to still push my business beyond where it is right now for me to come out from that multitude of people raising money and even poke out a little for people to see my head and say, hey, that's somebody that stands out. Let's look for him. There are a few things you need to get done. And the question is, what are some of the things you need to start doing? Number one, you need to start and stay close to cash in your business. And I'll explain what I mean by that. For those who have not started their business, but maybe you're entrepreneurially minded and you're thinking of how do I start my business? What do I do? Always think about this business I'm thinking about, what is the closest part of that business to cash? And that is where you want to start out from. If you're already running your business and you're wondering, okay, I'm already building something, but so how do I make sense of it? Then the question is there room or scope for you to adjust your business strategy a bit and move yourself closer to where the cash is? I'll give you an example. I was at an investment program where we're looking at multiple companies looking for investments, and one company stood out to all the investors, and almost all of us approached the company, and eventually I think they raised financing from the bank. What was the business model of this company? If the company is based in the northern part of Nigeria and they sell soybean oil, soya oil. If you know milled oil from soya bean for cooking, for frying, so that's what they sell. But the reality is that this company was not buying soya bean, so they were not investing any working capital to buy soya bean. They didn't have any manufacturing plants, so they didn't have any capex costs in manufacturing the soybean. All they were doing is there's a company they partner, and they will go back to the north, they will package it, they were branding it, and they were selling it. Now, this is the closest path to cash because from the point at which they were buying the oil and selling, the turnaround time for the cash is very small. So for a business that is struggling to raise financing, you want to keep that cycle very short as possible. So as a result, they were able to turn around cash. They were just buying and selling. And as at the time they were coming to that event to say they wanted to raise money, they had done over 800 million naira that year in revenue. If I put that in dollars, that is probably around about $600,000, if my math is correct, in revenue, 500 to $600,000 in revenue. This is a company that had no capex, no investment in buying soybean, and they were actively, in that business. And so the question is, how can you start from the point that is closest to cash in that business model that you are piloting? And there were two different companies that have approached me before, many years ago, for investments. And what I realized is that one of them had built these very, very, very admirable operations. It was a poultry operations. Very honestly, I respect what the person had done. Very, very massive operations that the person had, the capex had been put in. Now, the person required financing to stock the house with birds because they had run out of financing. Unfortunately, I did not see any cash flow, coming from that business. I cannot invest in just infrastructure because guess what? The most difficult part of any business is not building out the infrastructure, it is selling. Convincing customers to give you money for what you are selling is the most difficult part. So for that guy that was selling oil, he came back to raise money because he now wanted to capture value upstream. He wanted to build a plant to now start processing the oil himself. And guess what? He was able to raise that money. And that is the mindset you need to start having. How do I move my business? How do I shift my business model such that I move closer to the point of cash and I keep my cash cycle as short as possible? The second thing is you want to start small and scale. And there's nothing bad in that. We need to start seeing the entrepreneurial journey as a marathon and not a 100-meter dash. You might see other companies that are starting to raise money. It looks like they are moving at the pace of light, and you are angry and you are sad. There's no point being angry and sad on things you don't have control over. The question is, what do you have control over today? You have control over your business and what you can do with it today. You don't have control over raising capital. So there's nothing bad about starting small, but you have to be committed to that process. Think of your business as a game. I like to use that word. Think of it as I'm playing a game and it's a strategy game and I'm building something. So like a check, like if you think about playing chess, sometimes you give away your pawn, your pawns and they are taking off the chessboard. But you are doing that because you are seeing a path to you being able to checkmate the other person, right? So if you think about your business as a marathon, then be okay with starting small, but building upon things, learning, get the benefit of being small. There's a benefit to being small at some point because that is the state at which you, as the promoter, can almost be involved in every part of the business, and it helps you as a skill because as you scale, you need to be more dependent on people on different parts of the business, but you already understand the dynamics of the business only, and completely at that point when it was small because you were almost involved in every part of it. So don't be afraid to start small. I always use the example of Ace Food. Most of us in Nigeria will know Ace Food. And those who are not in Nigeria might know Ace Food. Ace Food, the founders of Ace Food are also the founders of African food chain makers. Now, when they started Ace Food, they started Ace Food in a small room in somewhere in Lagos, in Nigeria. And what they were processing was spices. And they got a small room. They got all these grinding machines that people used to grind pepper. And these are two Harvard Business School trained professionals that would go to the local markets themselves to go and buy the pepper and buy those things, brought it in, they will grind, they will package, they were selling. And Ace Food is one of the biggest spice producers in Nigeria today, over the space of I think 10 years or for them to achieve that feat. But there was that willingness to start small, but as they were small, they had their mind on the prize, on what they wanted to grow the business to become, and they were building carefully. Now, there's no benefit in starting small if you don't take some of the other things I will mention today into cognizance, because those things come together as a package. You can start small, and if you're not putting in place the right structures, the right governance, and all that, you will probably remain small for a very long time. So there is the benefit of starting small and scaling from there. Like I said, be committed to the process. Be willing to stay the course. Things might not look like you want it to be, but be willing to stay the course and putting everything into that business. The third thing, which is probably one of the most critical parts of bootstrapping your business, is to be focused, laser focused on cash flow. Your cash, at the end of the day, no matter what we say about business, business is about cash flow. The moment your business cash, that business comes to an end. And that's just the unfortunate reality. The business comes to an end the moment the business runs out of cash. So you want to keep your eyes focused, laser focused on cash flow. And what are some of the ways by which you can focus on your cash flow? Number one, which it looks too obvious, but unfortunately, many entrepreneurs that I've seen, I would say more than 80-90% of them are not fully aware of these things, is do not be extravagant. I know that sounds very simple. It looks like, I mean, this is the most basic thing you've said here today, but you'll be shocked at how extravagant entrepreneurs are. It looks like in Africa, most of us want to play with the big leagues, right? You quickly want to make a statement of facts that you've arrived, and so just with to success in your business or in terms, buying the new cars, investing in new properties, buying us. It's a nightmare the way you see on the price, who is very a long-term goal and long-term perspective. You know that all these things I want to enjoy, I will enjoy them, but there is a benefit of delayed gratification. So I'm delaying that gratification until later, but I will cycle back into this business. I will recycle back into the business. So number one, extravagant. Unnecessary spending, stay away from them. If there are capex spendings that you can avoid today, avoid it and till later. The second thing I want to talk about is you need to manage your working capital. And working capital has three elements, and I will talk about the three of them. Number one is your receivables. Receivables are what you are owed by your customers. One of the things that have killed businesses, you are selling, you are doing a good business, you are selling. It takes 60 days, 90 days to get back your money from your customers. And as a result, you might have high revenue, but there's no cash. And at the end of the day, revenue is not business, cash is business. If you run out of cash, your business shuts down. So for your receivables, find smart and intelligent ways to reduce those receivable days as much as possible. Sometimes you can even give incentives to your customers because there's a cost to financing. That money that is staying with them for 60 days, there's a cost, there's an opportunity cost. So it's not free money that they are keeping. So can you give incentives to pay you earlier? For example, you can tell a customer that, look, I know you are buying this thing from me at X dollars, but if you pay me 30 days earlier than you would normally pay me, I will give you a 1% discount, a 0.5% discount, on that. You have thought about the cost of that financing. It probably cost you, that 30 days, 4%. If you have to get that financing from somewhere else, it will cost you 4%, 5% to get that financing. But you're telling your customer, pay me a 5% discount. That is you trying to find more customers to pay you earlier than that. Also have products in place with your customers so that it's clear they can't just pay anytime. They pay at a particular agreed frequency that you have agreed in a contract with your customers. As much as possible, the moment you sell to them, invoice them immediately. Be dedicated to following up on them to collect your cash as quickly as possible. That is from a receivables point of view. There is also the payables point of view. Those are your suppliers, people you buy from. The longer you can delay repaying your suppliers, the more you can conserve cash in your business. Now, of course, it's not a healthy thing to do to be owing your customers. When you need to pay them, you're not paying them. That's not a healthy thing because it's just a question of time. They will stop paying you. But you can agree that into a contract with them. So you can tell the way you are dealing with the customers, if you have the opportunity with your suppliers as well, tell them that, look, I know you want to collect cash on immediately I buy my raw materials or whatever it is you're buying. But can you give me 2 weeks to pay? And maybe I'll give you 0.5% more. Some of them might even say that it's okay, you can negotiate 2 weeks repayment or 1 month, to pay them back. That way, if you can move your receivables forward and push your payables backwards, you can already see that cash is building out in your business that is available for you to be able to do your work. But this has to be intentional conversations you are having with your suppliers, with your customers. You're staying close to them enough to even understand their own businesses and their cycles, and you can propose, some of these things to them in terms of how you want to engage. Now, the third part I want to talk about in managing your working capital is your inventory. For those who deal with inventory, in your operations, inventory is cash that is tied down. Sometimes inventory can come by the way of stock that you buy. Sometimes, for those who are into farming, inventory comes by way of the money that is in the ground, your biological assets that are in the ground. And you tie down money for 3 months, for 4 months, for 6 months, for 8 months. When you are struggling for cash, you want to be doing something that keeps your cash cycle as short as possible. In other words, you want to make sure that you are not holding on inventory for too long. Of course, there are benefits sometimes to hold on inventory for a long time because you get some upsides, but you have to be strategic about the timing of doing that kind of business. I'll give you another example. There's a business that I know, somebody that I know that runs like a farm. He runs a farm. He has a farm. He also has an aggregation business. He aggregates from smallholder farmers. He warehouses the products and then he sells the products. Now, he has that business, but he also has a farm where he grows rice, grows a couple of other commodities. Now, the challenge was that for 2 years in a row, the farm had certain challenges. There was drought. There were birds that attacked the farm, and he had all those issues. So he was struggling a bit with cash. Entering into the third year, he came up with some creative ways by which to irrigate the farm and make sure that he can improve the output from the farm this time around. But when I had a conversation with him, I told him, I said, look, you're struggling for cash and you are going to put money in the soil for 4 months. I know you will get some very decent margins, but I hope your business, the thinking is, I hope your business is around in that 4 months' time to enjoy the benefits of the margin. Why not pause on the 5 times within that 4 months period? Go and buy grains, sell, buy and sell. You anyways you know how to do it. Buy and sell, trade over that 4 months. In fact, for this year, and tell yourself that look, I want to get my cash back on point. I will do this trading for a while, and then I'll take whatever cash maybe next year to go back to farm. But until that happens, you are putting money in a long inventory hold up period, and you want to avoid that as much as possible. One other thing you want to do is you want to review your cash flow on a very consistent basis. Every week, make sure that you are looking at your cash. What is my cash inflow this week? What is my expected cash outflow? And what is my opening cash? What will my end cash be? You must be looking at that every week without fail, and you must be be doing that forecasting, that planning. So because if you do that on a weekly basis, you can quickly see, okay, these are 3 areas that cash will be going out. I think I can hold off for this one till 2 weeks time. I can this one I can probably slash it by half. Those are simple ways by which you are looking and you are tinkering with your cash flow every week on week. You are looking at them, which speaks to the fact that if you are not very comfortable with numbers, with your financials, you will struggle as an entrepreneur. And it's either you school yourself or you find ways to engage. There are some people that offer services like fractional CFO service, all that. I know you may probably don't have the financing to engage someone now, but you should be able to see how can I engage somebody, even if it's to help me look at my numbers, help me to prepare a structure for me to now begin to manage and look at my business a bit more closely and a bit more effectively. Now, one thing I was going to say is, as you're looking at how to manage low, there are two things that you must not compromise on. Very, very important. The first is the quality of the product and service that you offer, because that is your business at the end of the day. The moment that deteriorates, your business will go down with it. The second thing you should not compromise is the quality how that you are paying attention to those two things, your products and services and your team. or very, very close to you. The reality is I've seen many entrepreneurs within the African context treat their team members and their staff members as if they are one of the machines that they have. And you can relate to what I'm saying. I see people threatening their staff members, I'll fire you if you don't do this. If the person is not meeting the requirement, maybe you don't need the person in your office. But at the end of the day, people that work with you, that's why it's called a company. It's called a company because you cannot do it alone, right? You are doing it together with people. That's what makes a company of people. And you have to respect the fact that they are exchanging their time. If the time you're exchanging for money, for the salary you pay them, you don't feel you're getting the right value out of it, then it is what it is. But rather than saying that you are doing them a favor, you are not doing your employees a favor. You're not doing your team members a favor. They are not working, you're not just paying them, they are giving you something in exchange. And the day you start holding them in that regards, treat them in that regards like respected partners, they will start unlocking certain level of value, certain level in your business that will help you to scale and grow. I know I'm running out of time, but I will just run through a few things very quickly. As much as possible, try to keep some emergency fund on the side. As humans, you and I both agree that one of these try to keep some money. Some people say 3 months, some people say 6 months worth of your living cost as cash. They say somewhere in the bank in case something happens and you need emergency funds. Also for your business, as you're making money today, be putting little aside. Don't touch it. It's not for you to splurge on. It's not for you to. It's not even for you to invest in the business. It's just for you to keep a little aside because a rainy day might come that your business is struggling. That is when you fall on those kind of cash for your business. And the last thing I'll talk about on cash flow management is price competitively. Have you thought about the way you've priced your business in recent times? And do you think that pricing you have correctly is the best way you can price? Can you price it a little better than what you're doing so that you can get more income for the same cost, that you currently run your business? Or is there a little bit more value you can add on the products that you are offering today that can help you disproportionately increase the price of that you are selling? The two other things I will run through very quickly in terms of bootstrapping. Yes, this is the kind of business I want to invest in. And plans from a governance point of view and invest to see that you are not answerable to yourself, you are accountable to it might even be a certain level of expertise that you can on a quarterly basis, report your business to, and they have the authority to be able to question you money. But yes, it's money. But on when it comes to you, you will still be seeing that see that there's an accountability requirement for this money. It's also what is my people employed. It's also what is making me to be able to my customers. It's also what is making me to provide. The moment you begin to your business, so you want to be very careful and thoughtful about putting that body in place. But every other thing that has to do with proper governance, you want to make sure that you have them. Be guided by policies. That's one of the benefits of when you're around in the office. Your team members know what to do in almost every situation. They don't need you to be there before they know how to invoice a customer, sell to a customer, how to negotiate a product that they want to buy, how to process the right product and get the right quality product out of the system. They should be able to do those things and be able to solve those problems, on their own. Be guided by processes. Be compliant. Are you paying your employees pension and you are remitting them? Are you taxes, COGS, you pay to your suppliers. After your COGS, you have your OPEX. That's what you pay to your salary. That you have your EBITDA, then you have your interest and tax that is going. Interest is what you pay to the lenders, and tax is what you pay to the government. So before you get the net profit that you pay yourself, you pay your suppliers, you pay your employees, you pay your the government, and you pay your capital providers. Now think about it. I'm coming to your business. I need to put yourself in my shoe as an investor. If I'm coming to your business and I'm asking, are you paying your suppliers maybe as a way you should in terms of the agreement you have with them? If you're not paying them in terms of the agreement you have with them, I've noted that. Are you paying your employees well? Are you paying them on time? Are you remitting their pensions? You're not doing that. Are you paying your taxes, what you owe to the government? You are not doing that. So I'm the fourth person investor. Why will I believe that you pay me as well? You have not made good by the other three people in your business. There's no way. It's just a habit that you formed. So even when I give you money, you will not repay me. And so I will not. So these are just little things that you need to think about while you're looking at your business that helps you to begin to shape how things are done. Finally, I'm sure many people will still want to hear this. Finally, you have to raise the right kind of capital when the time comes. Finally, there are many kind of capital that is not right for you, because it's not right. You are giving either you're giving away too much equity early on, or you are raising loans. I've seen people that come to me and say that their business is doing maybe 30 million naira in revenue, just for an example, and they said they want a loan of 500 million. And I'm like, you're doing 30 million in revenue. What do you want to do with 500 million? Oh, the reason why I'm still 30 million is because I didn't have the right financing. If I have the right financing, I'll build the right manufacturing, business. I will build the right team. I will be able to do a billion. It is so unbelievable and it is so untrue. And this is something that we've tested and we've confirmed that capital is a problem you have, but capital is not the only problem that you have. Capital is not one of your biggest problems. Because it is that we've seen people that we bet on like that, we give them a lot more taking money. So when you receive money, it's not the only thing you need. Do you have the right team to use that money effectively? Do you have the right controls to make use of that money? Do you have the number of customers or the demand to make the best use of that money? So money is never the only reason to raise that will make your business successful. So in other words, what I'm saying is, when you're looking to raise capital, make your capital believable at the amount you want to raise. It has to be believable, and that from the point of small point of view. Raise small is doing 100 million. Why don't you go and raise 5 million for something? And that way, the bank is probably more willing to give you what you need now. But you need history with the bank. So you raise 5 million for working capital, you use it, you pay them back. Then you go back and raise 10 million, you use it, you pay them back. You raise 15 million, you use it, you pay them back. And you make sure that you are using it. It is having an incremental impact on your business, such that the business, you can see it scaling up a little bit. Maybe at some point, you might even begin to get the kind of things that they will need, like for collateral, like maybe assets, equipment, and those kind of things. So make sure your ask is believable. Make sure that, and when they are verifying those asks, to tell them you are doing 400 million naira in sales, and by the time they put they shine their lights on it, they see 100 million. You've just lost straight. Whatever is not working, tell them it's not working. Whatever is working, tell them it's working. They respect that. They see a partner that they can believe and they can trust, and that integrity, that you've displayed. So you have to make sure that whatever you're giving to them is verifiable. You also need to make sure that it is realistic. You might be asking them for something that is believable, but sorry, is repayable. But you might be telling them something that is believable, but you can't honestly repay. I'll give you a good example. You earn a profit or maybe 20 back up for $5,000. On the surface, it looks like you will be able to repay. But underneath the surface, maybe you're actually owing some family and friends another $20,000. So the reality is that you cannot repay. So that money is not repayable. So you have to make sure that whatever you're asking for is something that you can honestly and genuinely pay, and you're not betting too much on I'm going to grow 100%. I've seen people come and they are doing 50 million in sales today, and they say, if you give me money, I'll do $1 billion next year. It's so believable. And I think until entrepreneurs begin to see these things, we'll always continue to struggle against. Up by saying this financing, I'm also seeing that most people that will be able to access are those who have been able to separate themselves from the crowd. And honestly, let me tell you, in this part of in Africa, it is so easy to separate yourself because everybody is mixed in the same level of troubles that they are facing. You doing a few things differently will immediately stand you out, and people will begin to notice you for kind of strategic questions from.
Thank you. It's running out. I would agree with the part where Ibrahim was hyping because you were set for a very insightful session. I am Mr. Deji can keep talking and talking and talking. He's very passionate about SMEs. So any if you have any question, I already see Adani, her hand she's already raising her hand to ask questions. Do raise your hand up, we'll unmute you and you can ask your questions. And you can also in the chat box and I will do well to read it out. So we'll start with Lee on mute and ask your question, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. So my own is just straightforward. Mr. Deji can't on board of advisors. That's my.
Unfortunately, unfortunately not. And the reason is, I want to make sure that if I'm on the board of a company, I'm giving my best. It's you can that can I can ask for that.
Good evening, Deji. A wonderful credence presentation. Sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Very well. Thank you, sir. SME in Nigeria are facing what resilience actions or measures can be taken to prevail over this?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Unfortunately, maybe some other countries might not be experiencing this. Some are, but there are some other countries that they are seeing low double-digit interest rates. In some countries, but in places like Nigeria and Ghana, interest rates are quite high. So I sympathize with you. It is the reality on ground. And even for banks to give you that financing, even at that high interest rate, you probably struggle to raise that financing. And I think that's the whole remit of why we have this call today, is to see if I can access this financing, or if the financing is too expensive, what are other things that I can do to keep myself in business, long enough for me to either get to a point where I can now comfortably take on that financing, or maybe I generate sufficient cash in my business. And I'm not pretending that, it's going to work for every business. Unfortunately, there are some businesses that probably just need financing, maybe with the way the business model, is. But the reality still is we need to go back to some of the things I said on is you need to do, to tighten your own financing need, move some part of rejig your business model a little bit such that you can get yourself closer to where the cash is. My But yeah, it's the reality of the markets that we operate in today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Ismail. Hello, Ismail. Can you unmute? Okay, so Sobe Chuku, please ask your question.
Okay, hi, Deji. Thank you so much for this. Okay, this is quite impressive, but I've seen some of these challenges, and I actually developed a project for local government in about different states in South South, and currently we're in a bit fix. Why I mentioned this fix is the one of the commercial banks we're using in Nigeria had run a project, I think with MasterCard in the previous administration where there was intervention funds, and they can get a facility as low as on a single digit. So the kind of correlation we did for the farmers is to get about 100 farmers who were mapping out. I use the GIS. I'm an engineer, so now into agri too. And so we do a geological positioning for about 1,000 hectares to be engaged in this. But the challenge we're having is government where you can, I don't know how we're going to handle it, but the bank is asking for ISPO as a sort of bond from government. But the government said they are willing to provide security, land, other amenities just to help the business to put. But we being the middleware consultants, we're in a bit fixed because banks are now willing to release the funds. And at the present, the meeting I had this morning, is actually the facility they are mentioning as single digits is not more available. They are just doing another sort of or evaluation that would make it come up maybe by mid this year. I mean, by second quarter. And the one they have is going at commercial rate over 35%. From your opinion, should we redirect the move to kind of maybe start small, maybe start with farmers who had some funding to begin maybe with half hectare or some with 1 hectare until we start growing to the point we can maybe fund ourselves as government is not willing to provide ISPO as a hedge. Thank you.
Thanks, Obechuku. What I would suggest is because I think what you've raised needs some unpacking for me to be able to fully understand and be able to provide a right advice. What I would suggest is if you reach out to a Berian team and they'll give you my contact, and then you can reach out and we can have a conversation. I think it'll be easier that way.
Okay, thank you so much. So we should kindly reach out to Ebere and she'll check the contact. So let's have Aliyu kindly unmute and ask your question, please.
Thank you for this opportunity. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, my fellow colleagues. My question goes like this. We as the SME in Nigeria, how can we manage the foreign exchange risks and volatility within this economic situation, please, sir?
Yeah, I mean, so the question of FX volatility, so this now depends on what kind of business you are in. So like of that volatility, so that will that will speak to it. But one of the things I would say is FX volatility. If you're a local business doing dealing with local purchases and selling locally, there's some form of resilience you have. If you're a business that has exposure to US dollars, I think there's a form of resilience you have. However, if you're a business that your raw material or a large part of your cost is in FX, but you are earning low in the local currency, whichever country you're operating in, then there is that exposure that you have. So there are a few ways that you can begin to think about your business. One is, for example, is there any way you can localize your supply chain if it's possible in the time being while the currency is stabilizing? That's one way to think about it. The other way is because you are sourcing, and like I said, but you are sourcing things, sourcing your raw materials at FX. Is there any way for you to get some access to some form of international business so that you can get that US dollar to also shore up your business? One other thing to mention is if you raise financing, avoid raising financing in FX because then you expose yourself to significant. There's any way you can raise financing in local currency that helps you to manage the effect. From that, I think for SMEs, it's unfortunately also one of the risks that a lot of SMEs have to bear in terms of the FX volatility. Much bigger companies will probably edge their risk, but you don't have that. You don't have that capital or even that time and that gravitas to even be able to engage those who will provide those hedging instruments for you. So you have to look for non-financial means, unfortunately, to hedge away that risk.
Okay, thank you so much. Before I call on anyone, I have a question in the chat from Olumide. He says, my business is a farm specializing in perennial crops, which requires an 18-month growth cycle before the first harvest. Given that my investors prevent ventures with a 12-month return timeline, how should I structure my pitch to make the opportunity attractive despite the longer?
To ask that question, especially for I suspect people that are growing things like cassava, or you are just fresh into palm oil production and you're just planting your tree and challenge to manage that cash. If you are just starting off on this business and you are looking to raise financing to do that cropping, the question is there an easier way for you to start your production? And what I mean by that is, if it's cassava, let's take 18 months. The question is, if you want to farm your 18 months cassava, you probably already have your farmland in place. So the question is, before you start planting cassava, if you've not started, before you start planting cassava, is there a way for you to focus first on buying produced cassava from those who have produced cassava? I don't know what you want to use that cassava for. You can decide that you want to make gari, sell gari, or make other things. And the reason I'm saying that is, in that short frame, what can you do quickly with the money? I'm speaking from the point of view that you have some money that you want to put in, just not sufficient. Is there something you can do in that short frame to be able to quickly turn around cash? And the reason why I'm not saying you go and do something else is because it's cassava you want to grow. And so it's best you do something in that cassava value chain, because everything you are doing down that stream is adding value and intelligence to you when you begin to crop your own cassava farm. So that's one way to think about it, because as you're doing that and you are generating some cash flow, when you're speaking to investors, you can already show them that, look, there's some cash flow I'm generating from this part of the business, but now the farm, I will still be doing this part, but I will now plant 1 hectare. I'm not going to plant the entire, in fact, instead of 1 acre, I'm going to plant an acre or 2 acres. And I always look for proof of concept, always look for something to sell at a small scale. I've done it at 1 acre, I've done it at 2 acres because I was able to generate money from my former business, and I've applied it to this 2 acres. See, I've been able to produce the crops. Now I want to expand to 1 hectare. Can I get some financing? It's a lot more believable for anybody to want to give you financing. I'm not saying it's a lot more believable to give you financing in that regards.
Okay, thank you so much for your response. Let's have David on Odunga. Kindly unmute and ask your question, please.
All right. Thank you very much.
Hello, David. Kindly go ahead. We can hear you.
Yes, hello. Am I audible?
You are not audible,
All
so
right.
if you can just type
Okay,
in your
thank you very
question in the
much.
chat box.
I'm just. How about now?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. Forgive me for that. What I'm trying to say is that some of us here, I'm from Uganda, David, from my farm, represented from my farm. So we're an application platform. What I want to highlight is that we have been applying for grants to the point that we have even actually become from entrepreneurs or becoming grant entrepreneurs. But from what you are saying, I sort of liked the mode of how you had actually addressed it, and I'm hoping maybe if we use that tactic of how you have addressed it, and we see how we can handle it inside of Uganda, because it has been a really challenge for us here, because it's coming to our understanding that it's about who knows who, which is something which is not appropriate, if I'm to say. So if there is any opportunity of you sharing what you actually shared, because I've been up and down, I wasn't having good connection, but I liked how you had actually addressed it, and we want to actually take up this approach and see how does it fare up when you try applying for grants here in Uganda. Then also, you had a statement that you made in regards to someone having, or rather, before investing, they have to make money. So you put in a point of whereby you buy and then you sell, you buy and then you sell. I would like to at least try to put in a point that you see, when someone starts buying and selling, you are giving them a role. They're going to start having a role. This role might either be a middleman, in the sense that they'll buy to sell to get at a higher profit, right? So they'll buy from the farmer at side fee, then sell at a higher profit. So how sure are you that if this person continues going like this, and then it start benefiting a lot, they will go back to the garden and start planting after they've gotten the capital? So that is my advice that I wanted to say. But please, I really ask that I can have your document, your presentation, so that we can see how we can upscale it here or use it during our grant proposal. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good question. And by the way, we've also we made our very first investment in Uganda last year. We invested in a commodity exporter, and so we are also getting to understand the Ugandan market a little bit more than we have in the past. And let me just help you with that understanding that the market is about who you know. Maybe in a large situation, there are people. It's about people you know, but I can tell you that more often than not, the people you know probably will get you far enough to have conversations with investors. But at the end of the day, the things I've spoken about are the things that will make the investor to put their capital at risk with you, because at the end of the day, it's capital at risk. So yeah, what some of the things I've also said today is to help you to begin to distinguish yourself a little. So while everybody is chasing the money, and like you said, people have become grant entrepreneurs while they are busy writing business proposals, chasing that money. I also saw that in the survey that people think that they can't write excellent business proposals. I can't remember anybody we financed that is because of the proposal that we, for most of them, we've never received any proposal from them. We have a conversation with them. We know they need money. We look at their business, we do due diligence, and we invest, right? So instead of focusing, spending time on the business, why don't you huddle down with your business and focus on how to grow and make some revenue. That way, everybody's chasing money. You are trying to distinguish yourself a little. At least up to a point where you separate yourself from the crowd, and people are able to spot you, and they're able to look to give you capital. To your second point, you're right. I mean, if you do something long enough and you see that look, so much money from this, what incentive do I have to go back to produce on my farm? Now, there are two ways to think about this. One is the further you go back and backwards integrate, the better your margin. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but there are people that are passionate about that part of the business where they will think about, I'm buying from farmers, but the farmers have laid on their own cost and everything on it. If I produce on my own, then I will probably be able to get a better margin and improve my profitability. So the moment you are trading and you are making money, there might be benefit for you, even if it's maybe 20% of your total supply, to start producing yourself. If you have the passion for it, I told somebody, I said, if I ever go into business, I don't think I will ever do farming. Not because I'm in the agribusiness sector, but I don't think I have personal temperament for that, for the farming piece of the business. So you have to know yourself as well. If you have the passion for it, it might be a good thing to have that captive market to be able to supply or to be able to get your own supply for your business. But the reality also is that if you don't have a passion for it and you realize that there's another segment of the market where you're doing very well and you're growing, why do you have to go back to the farm? I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. Yes, you have the infrastructure there. If you are very crazy about the farming, why don't you hire farmers and bring farmers, smallholder farmers on your farm? Let them come and crop it, and let them more or less lease the farm out to them, and they are paying you a rent for producing on your farm. In fact, that is always a business model. If you earn enough money, put infrastructure on your farm, make it into an asset, and then let people be renting different parts of the farm. You irrigate it for them. They are paying rent, and you are running the farm, but you keep trading. In fact, they now begin to supply you products from that farm as well that you can now take to go and sell. So you see what I mean? You don't have to go back to the farm. If you're doing a business and you're growing and you like what you're doing, you're enjoying it, and you think you can expand it, you can grow it in the form and the format it is, then why not? But if you also want to capture the value for the additional margins by going down, going downstream, then it's a good opportunity to do that.
Thank you so much, Deji. There are a couple of persons that want to get your contact. I don't know if that is okay, aside from the one person that is supposed to reach out to Adana. But before we close out with the question, I just have one question. Question is from Adesoji, asking why are financial institutions not granting loan to 50-year-olds and above in the manufacturing question? That will be our last question for this session.
Yeah. So I think the reality is that the question I asked earlier, the way I answered earlier, I think at the start of the session, maybe you had not joined, and I went through why SMEs struggle to raise financing, and unfortunately, it applies to everyone, not irrespective of age. I've seen young people that are 3 years in business, but when you look at how they've run their business, even the person that is, someone who is over 50 years old will be extremely impressed at the way they hunkered down on the business. They drove cash flow, they were turning around cash, they were building, they were meticulous, they were borrowing, paying money, they were growing their business, step by step, all the way. And you cannot but just want to back those kind of entrepreneurs. And they're young. Some of them are probably in their 20s, some early 30s, but they've learned it. And at the same time, you see people that are, much older, 50 years old, 45, 50 years old, and you look at the business that they've run a company for 20 years, they never paid tax once. You look at, they borrowed money, but they defaulted on the money. And you ask yourself, what exactly is happening here? So I think the point I'm trying to make is it's not really, unfortunately, about age. It is about the person running the business and the business that they are running that will help you to get financing.
Thank you so much. That was quite a very insightful session. Apologies, we have a lot of questions and we will not be able to go through all of them. But Mr. Deji has a book. You should definitely read it because from what he taught today in today's session, there are like much more in detail. My colleagues have been dropping the link to purchase the book in the chat box. I kindly drop it again, team members, so that click on the link, purchase that book, and you get much more insights beyond what you've gotten in the last 1 hour. Thank you so much, Deji. It's always a delight having you join us. There's always something to learn. But before we let you go, we'd love to take a virtual photograph. So for those who intend to reach out to Mr. Deji, LinkedIn,
Yeah.
email, ensure you turn on your
I was
camera,
going to
screenshot
say,
it. So when you're reaching out, you have,
yes.
okay,
Sorry, I was going to say that I do share a lot on my I see Dana, the first person to put on a video. So for those who really want, I do share on LinkedIn and short videos on different things you can about scaling your SMEs and also on YouTube. So you can just look for my name and you can follow some of the content that I share. I think on those platforms I can also help to answer some questions that you might have. So just look for my name either on LinkedIn or on YouTube and you can follow.
great. Okay, so there you have it. You have gotten an express link to how you can reach out to Deji. You would follow him on LinkedIn, buy his book, ask him questions in his comment section on his LinkedIn post, and he would definitely expatiate more and explain. So kindly turn on your cameras for the video before we call it a day and we excuse Mr. Deji to attend to other activities. Okay, I want to see your very beautiful and handsome faces, your best smiles. Okay, thank you so much. I can see Toby, Ismail, Dana, Margaret, Kenneth. So team members, I would say in 1, 2, 3, let's give our best smile. Cheers, everybody. Great. Thank you so much, Deji. It's always a pleasure to have you. We look forward to having you come on because there are like still so much in store that we have to learn from. So, but in the meantime, thank you so much for availing us with your time and sharing from your very deep wealth of wisdom and experience. So going forward, I'll be calling on thank you so much. I'll be calling on Ebere Oko again. She would be sharing on giving you insight to what the next session of the Agrifunding series would be all about. Hi, Ebere.
Thank you very much, Anna. Thank you very much, Deji. I cannot thank you enough. I raise more to the valley. I'm really grateful. And I'm very sure as much as I've learned from you, everyone on this call has also learned. And please, we will call you back again for other sessions. Indulge us. We'll be looking forward to having you again. And to everyone that was patient enough to stay to this time of session, remember the Agrifunding Workshop is a series. It's going to happen monthly. And every month we would address these issues. And when we have been consistent till the end of the year, I'm very sure AFC will be able to cook up something. So don't miss Marching edition. How to write winning proposals for agricultural grants and funding. How to write winning proposals for agricultural grants and funding. You don't want to miss it. Thursday, 27th of March, 2025. Same time. And please, next time, come early so that you don't miss any point as much as possible. And when you are coming next time, come with somebody, learn something. And again, we want to grow together. So when you're coming, come with somebody to also so that you all can learn together. Looking forward to seeing you all this month, Thursday, 27th March 2025. Same time, 3 p.m. West African time. Thank you. Before we go, at the beginning of today's session, I talked about our membership community, the AFC community. So I'll call on Sir Opando to take us through membership drive. So you understand now what the membership community is about, what we offer to our members, and how you can join. Sir, have
Thank you so much, Ebere. Can you confirm that you can hear me?
yes, can hear you.
Great. All right. So thank you once again, Deji Adebusoye. It's been a pleasure engaging with you. Deji is someone that AFC always reach out to and he always attends to our engagement as well. So we appreciate our speaker, Deji. And for those who are yet to know me, my name is Nosa Obando, the membership officer at African Food Chain Makers. And I would like to take us through the membership drive. Before I start, I always start with knowing our audience. So if you are on the call and you're a member of the AFC community, kindly type in the chat box that you are a change maker so I can know who I'm addressing these my slides to. So I would love to see the chat box to know how many change makers we have in the room. Yes, I can see our ever gallant ambassador, Adana Uche. Thank you, Victoria. I'm a change makers. So for the non-chain makers or potential chain makers on the call, AFC is one membership platform you have been missing out on because our sole purpose is to engage our members and build their capacity. One of such is the lesson you learned today on how you can be financial ready for grant opportunities in the agri-food space. At AFC, we are a membership hub. We offer opportunities to our entrepreneurs. We also help you to strengthen and scale your agri-businesses. And we do this through our programs and initiatives. For our programs, my colleague said earlier about our programs for the year, BRACE, Building Resilience Against Climate and Environmental Shocks. We also offer programs on scaling exports. We also offer programs on gender inclusivity, the LAV program, where we empower agri-food women in the African space on how they can build the right network and also amplify their impacts. We also help our entrepreneurs to prepare for the global African markets where they can expand their reach and also create visibility for their products. On the AFC Hub, we have a marketplace where entrepreneurs can upload their products and reach out to a global audience. People who want to see your products are on our website and they can reach out to you as soon as possible. And the good thing about the ALC marketplace is that we are not involved in your transaction. We only create the visibility for you. So anyone that wants to get in contact with you or wants to get your product, we reach out to you directly through the ALC marketplace. So we create the linkages between you and your potential clients. We also facilitate access to funding opportunities, to speaking engagements, to exhibition opportunities. So we do a lot of exhibition opportunities where we can exhibit our members' product and also showcase our members' activities as well. In some instances where we engage with event planners, we have the opportunity to come along with our entrepreneurs or come with our product depending on the level of relationship we have. We also have access to a vibrant community of change makers across the continent. So at AFC, as a member, you have your dashboard where you engage with other entrepreneurs. We also have the AFC social media membership group, talking of the Facebook, the WhatsApp, the Telegram, and the LinkedIn, where you can continue informal engagement with other entrepreneurs, create the informal networking, and also attend our knowledge share sessions. So aside from the virtual webinar that we do on Zoom, we also have informal engagement, knowledge share sessions we do in our membership community. One of such is the experience share session where we have members come and dialogue and chat with each other on trending topics about their agribusinesses and how they face challenges and also overcome those challenges. We also enhance the visibility of entrepreneurs through social media engagement and also promotion across our network. One of the key areas of AFC is to create visibility for entrepreneurs. So we do this by promoting our entrepreneurs through our various social media handles and our pages as well, creating the initiative for them to expand and get the right network. So I've spoken a lot about the benefits of entrepreneurs. I also like to talk about how potential members of the core can join the AFC community. Thank you. So the first process to becoming a member of the AFC community is to be aware of AFC And you can be aware of AFC in two ways. One is by following us on our social media handles, and one is by visiting the AFC website, which is www.afchub.org. Once you've done that, on the AFC website, you see a landing page where you get all our information, all our activities, all our impact in one click, and you also see a button that tells you to join the community or visit the marketplace. The visit the marketplace option is for entrepreneurs or potential buyers or sellers that want to see our product on the marketplace and also reach out to engaging members through the marketplace. That is the one-stop shop for you. Then for the purpose of this call, you have to click on the join the community icon to start your membership process. Once you've done that, you'll be directed to a registration page where you'll be asked some registration questions about your personal profile and your company profile. We advise that you fill those information accurately so we can be able to provide you with the right opportunities for your business to scale. Then once you've done that, just click on the submit button at the end of the page and you receive a confirmation email that your submission has been submitted, but it will be reviewed by the admin team for a period of 24 to 48 hours. So prior to that, you have a temporary membership dashboard, which is not active, but you can view our opportunities on those dashboards. Upon confirmation, which takes about 24 to 48 hours, the admin team would review your information and ensure that it's aligned with what we are looking for as a potential member of our community. Once we verified that, we would approve your registration and you get an email to onboard you on our membership platform. The email contains onboarding videos on how you can navigate through the dashboard, newsletters, how you can get resources, and how you can connect to our other social media membership groups as well. So the criteria we look out for potential members are just three. The first one is that you should own an agribusiness in Africa or you work in an agribusiness where you can make top decisions about the business you work for. Second is that the business you own or you work for must be in existence for at least 6 months prior to signing up to be a member. And this is done by submitting a registration document, a CSC document for those in Nigeria and for other countries as well. And you should have a social media presence. The reason why we request for you to have a social media presence is because we are keen on creating that visibility and amplifying your work as an entrepreneur in the agri-food space. You want to change that narrative about African entrepreneurs and promote our initiative across board. So we always advise our entrepreneurs to always spotlight whatever activities are doing in the agri-food space, and we amplify that from our end of the community. And I believe my colleague will have dropped the link to join the community for those who are yet to join. And I would like to use it next 1 minute to get responses from potential members on their progress so far. So if you started the application, let me know that you started signing up and let me see the progress so far. I'm available for further questions. And thank you once again. Over to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Nosa. We look forward to welcoming you to the AFC community. Like Nosa have said, there are a lot of advantages and opportunities when you join our community. And then aside from that, you have a family, a network of agripreneurs from over 47 African countries. And how amazing would that be to be in a community where they are goal-oriented, focused, and heading towards same direction, that is amplifying African products, ensuring Africa is seen at a good light. So thank you so much to everyone who has been on this session, who has been with us from the beginning to the end. We say a very big thank you to you. Can you follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, X Thread. We are everywhere. So do well to follow us and so as you can be able to keep in touch with all our activities and be on top of all the latest news and opportunities we have for you. And also do well to subscribe to our newsletter. And as you can see, we have our contact number here, our email address. You can always reach out to us with activities, with initiatives, with your milestones, what you've achieved so far, with even feedbacks or challenges you're currently facing. And also ideas of things you think we should incorporate into what we are doing already. So till we see you next time in the next Agri-Food webinar series, do have an amazing week and enjoy the rest of your week and have an amazing weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. See you all next month.